There is one thing all of us share. We all have goals. And some you talk about, some you keep on the low. No one needed to know you were trying to grow out your boobs. The goal will get you to the finish line. The problem is that sometimes that finish line, that ending, it's not so much happily ever after, but, well, it desperately had to end somehow.
This is so surreal. I mean, what?
Look at our favorite messy TV queen, Carrie Bradshaw. She got her ending. She married big.
It wasn't logic. It was love.
How do you end up with a man who always made you feel like you're replaceable, who told you he will never get married, so manage your expectations, just to marry a 10-year younger woman the second you two break up, who cheats on the new wife with you, gets divorced, and still prefers to be alone, and then reappears because he finally got it. You were the one all along. Just to then leave you at the altar for just, I don't know, one last hurrah.
It wasn't logic.
And on the scarier side, how many of us have their own version of a shit show like that? I know I had my moment. Goals. The Carrie Bradshaw and Mr. Big story is not a story about fated love that pushed through it all. It's a story about how Carrie had one goal and how she never changed, never stopped chasing the man who hurt her over and over and over again, because she never changed that goal. We are gonna look at Carrie Bradshaw from the start till the finish without movie number 2, because already the number 1 was testing me. And we're gonna look at 3 main things. How was that goal created? How it kept her stuck with Big, even though everything was screaming, run, bis, run. And what it takes to actually change that goal before you waste years trying to get to an end that won't even fix anything.
I can't do this.
Oh my God.
So we can do better. So what was Carrie's goal? What was the thing that was driving every decision, every time she took Big back? Carrie's goal was to prove that she is worth staying for. That's it. That's the goal. And this is kind of confirmed quite early on in the season. You see, she has a chance to rekindle with her ex, her on-again, off-again man who, according to Carrie, was simply just using her. And it was time to flip the script. It was time for Carrie to take back her power.
My turn.
Oh, sorry. I have to go back to work, but I'll give you a call.
The problem was that this man was quite happy with the arrangement. And if a guy is thrilled about casual, well, it pokes directly into that wound. She's just not worth enough for him to stay. Now, whenever life slaps us in the face and it's like, hey, maybe there's something brewing inside, we try to understand where did it all come from. Now, we don't know much about Carrie's upbringing, but in season 4, very casually, she drops that her father left her mom and her when she was 5 years old. Now, if you know something about daddy issues, you know that could have created a little question, what's wrong with me? Now, before you check out because, you and your daddy are good, you don't need a missing parent to create these kind of goals. And your goals could be a little bit different. Maybe you had present parents, but they were emotionally unavailable. Maybe you grew up only getting love or validation, let's say, when you were achieving. Or maybe you were constantly compared to others and you never felt good enough. But they all kind of create the same question. Am I worth choosing? And from that moment on, every relationship is a chance to prove that you are worth to be chosen. The goal makes you feel protected, because if you are trying to prove your worth, then you don't need to sit down, maybe journal a little bit, and acknowledge that deep down, you already decided that you are not worthy at all. And what does a goal like that do to you? Well, your whole life and your whole identity starts to revolve around being chosen by men. In Carrie's case, in mine, maybe also in yours, the cool girl, the pick-me, the easygoing one, the one who is not like the others, because if I'm special, then you be staying. Now, to be fair, Carrie is who she is, right? She is the quirky, social girl who loves fashion. She likes to understand things, right?
Is this an unsolvable equation?
But at the same time, throughout the seasons, we saw that she has tendency to adapt based on who she is dating. At least she tries to. Because that's the thing with these personas. They're just a facade, a survival strategy. If I can be easy enough, if I can be cool enough, then I won't get left. Having man as the center of your life is not really uncommon. I mean, we grew up with the idea of marriage and family and being with someone. The problem is when we don't take a step back and ask ourselves, are you making all of your decisions based on how the man in your life will react? If you never become aware of that, then you do what Carrie does. You think you evolved, you think you finally understood, and you pick yourself. You never want to lose yourself again. Without realizing that in the background, underneath it all, it's still just so you can get the man and keep the man. The next logical consequence when you are, let's say, centralizing men, other women are your competition. It's you versus them. And this is something that we see with Carrie. She does feel inferior against other women who, let's say, are the chosen one. And how does she fix it? Or how does she make herself feel better? Well, she needs to put them down. The models are just women without any personality. Natasha is just dumb, doesn't know how to write, and was an easy pick.
It's a good thing she got married. The woman's an idiot.
Before we go into the juicy stuff, how big plays into all of this, let's do a little checklist for you to recognize if you maybe are running this goal, prove that I am worth staying for in the background. The first thing would be if you are single or when you are single, you take it as an evidence that there is something wrong with you. You compare yourself to other women and you constantly think about who's better or who is more wifey material. Why was this girl chosen and why this one? Why does she have a man? And so on. You maybe also think a lot about people who didn't choose you, more so than, the people who did. Those you don't even know they exist. And when you are in a relationship, you might feel better or safest, not necessarily better, but safest when you are the one who is doing more. Caring more, fixing more, adapting more. So if any of this feel kind of, I'm hitting the wound, I'm making you feel a little bit uncomfortable, it's just for you to be aware that, okay, maybe I have some goals that have been created around proving my worth rather than wanting to build a good relationship or a good life, the one that I actually want to live. Because the version that has a little bit wonky goals, well, she'll be attracted to guys like Big. Absolutely. So imagine now someone like Carrie meeting someone like Mr. Big, the it guy, good looking, successful, a man who rejects Samantha, a woman no man rejects. The guy who dates models. Well, if that kind of person chooses moi, that means I'm special. And if I am special, then I am worthy for someone to say. The second Carrie and Mr. Big meet, the power dynamics are set. He is the prize, she is auditioning. And he's making all these small jabs at her that reinforce this imbalance even more. He calls her work cute. He implies that she doesn't know about real love while he abso-fucking-lutely does. Of course, all while flirting and being charming. He has to keep her guessing. Is he into her or is he not? These kind of dynamics or these kind of attitudes from men only work when you, I'm sorry to say this, you haven't learned yet, okay? You haven't been through the ringer yet. When you are basing your worth on being chosen by other men, and when a guy comes along that keeps you guessing all the time, it challenges your, let's say, nervous system to see it as solving a problem. And it hooks you. It makes you want to get that validation. If you are secure in yourself, if you dealt with a man like that before and you understood what is going on, the second you come across another one who acts the same, you're like, no, I'm not. No, shut it down. Shut it down. You don't have the patience to even entertain it for a second. The hook doesn't just happen because, big makes her feel small. It happens when he gives her hope. When he shows up at a cafe and tells her that maybe it's time for him to date someone different. Despite being used to dating models, maybe he needs someone who he can just laugh with. Hint, it's her. It happens when he makes her feel that she just might be good enough. That's when the hook happens. Because now Carrie has the opportunity to prove that she is good enough. So every red flag, every moment when she should be looking at this man thinking, boy, you need some journaling, she takes it as a challenge. As a challenge she needs to overcome to reach her goal of proving that she is worth staying for. And the more Big made her feel small, the more he pulled back, the more his validation meant something. When in reality, you feel that way because underneath it all, you believe that in order for you to be loved, you need to prove yourself. Because Big makes her work for it, for her, that's the real thing. And just to pop the bubble here, if someone is making you work for it, it means that they themselves are not stepping into the relationship in a genuine way. So in any case, it's going to turn out in a shit show. Okay, so, your choice. Eventually, Carrie and Mr. Big start dating. And this man is not giving her nothing solid. He doesn't introduce her to her friends. He doesn't show up at the bus poster reveal, a moment that is very significant for her career. He is dating other women while he's dating her and she's totally oblivious to it, and he won't define the relationship. And even when things are supposed to be a little bit more serious, he introduces her to his mom as his friend. Because, quote,
my mother doesn't need to meet another girlfriend.
And every time Big does something that signals you're not special, Carrie doesn't look at him or the situation and recognizing maybe we're looking for different things. She looks inwards. I am not good enough. And she copes with it the best way she knows how. To be unbothered and cool. Instead of expressing her expectations, she drunk calls him, vomits her emotions, or tries to make him jealous, which conveniently becomes Carrie's too much problem instead of, well, Big's behavior is a problem. You know how it goes? It's better to believe that I'm too sensitive than to admit that he's not showing up. We see this pattern with Carrie time and time again. I don't feel good about something. I don't actually believe that I deserve anything better. So I'll act in a way that will make me the problem so I can focus on fixing myself rather than risking losing him. And that's why it also works when he says that this could be something, that he does like her, that he will stand still with her. It keeps the goal reachable. Here's the thing. You can't control who's going to show up in your life and if they're going to be emotionally unavailable. But you can control if you're going to stay, if you're going to entertain it or not. And that will be dependent on the goal that you have that it's driving your decisions. And when Carrie reaches a moment where she cannot continue not knowing if this goal will ever be achieved, will she ever be good enough, will this man stay with her, she asks if she's the one.
Just tell me I'm the one.
And we all cringe. Bis, I know I'm not trying to be a cool girl, but keep it cool a little bit. Huh? On the surface, this could be seen as clarity, right? She is finally setting her boundary and she is not crossing it. But at the same time, she sets herself up to feel stupid afterwards. All was good. Why did I need that answer at the end? Now, in real life, you probably don't say to a guy, am I the one? But you have your own version when you react in a way that reassures that you can then blame yourself for it. You break up with a guy because he didn't call when he said he would. And then you feel crazy because you overreacted, even though the problem was real. This guy kept on flaking you. It's easy to tie the whole situation on that small moment and feel like you were the one who were in the wrong. So she's kind of dating other people, but no one is good, right? There's always a problem with someone until she gets that opportunity to justify going back to big. Friend's funeral, and life is too short to not do it.
Are you sure you're ready to get killed all over again?
With no surprise though, round 2 has the same dynamics. He withholds his reassurance and she is trying to get it. This time just being a little bit more careful, a little bit more patient. Until also this doesn't work anymore because by the end, he literally tells her, I'm moving to another country and I kind of don't want you to go with me. Instead of her seeing that maybe he's just not that into me, we want different things, she frames it as he is just too afraid to commit. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you do feel better when you just accept the fact that it's their problem and that's it. But it would be much more beneficial if after that we would also ask ourselves, okay, but why did I want to commit to this person? Why was I kind of blinding myself every time when this man showed me that he doesn't want to commit? So here's how we can kind of say or recognize if we are in our own big style dynamic in our lives. The first thing is that you spend more time trying to figure out what does it mean rather than understanding, do I like this? You constantly go from good days, bad days, and every time you're asking yourself, what could I do that this wouldn't happen next time? That he would show me a little bit more affection next time. And when it comes to the phases when you maybe are thinking about leaving, instead of thinking, this isn't good for me, that's why I'm leaving, you're more thinking about, what if I'm making a mistake? When I leave, this person is finally gonna be the person that I want him to be, and I'm gonna miss out on it. Or, my personal favorite, when the thought of leaving them is dreadful. If losing this person feels like the ultimate sin, the worst thing that could happen to you, then I would say the attachment is probably unhealthy. Because when you genuinely feel good in a relationship, losing that person could feel devastating, like it could feel very sad, and you don't want that to happen. You understand that maybe some things are just not okay. And that's okay. Now, sometimes we finally manage to leave. We finally manage to say, this is it, I am out. Carrie did it. Was she pushed by big? Yes, oftentimes you are pushed by the other person when the attachment is toxic. And despite him telling to Carrie that she should manage her expectations because he's not ever gonna get married again, he comes back from Paris engaged to Natasha. And naturally, Carrie is devastated. Her worst fear just came true. Someone else was worthy enough. And what does she do with that? Well, we find someone to blame. And he be wrong. He is making a mistake. He doesn't even know what he lost. Natasha, vanilla, simple, the easy pick. Clearly, Big couldn't handle an interesting person like I am.
Your girl is lovely, Hubert.
I don't get it.
And you never did.
But what happens when you still don't address your goal? What happens when your strategies are still all the same? That's exactly what we see in Carrie's attempts at fixing her relationships without actually addressing the unhealthy goal that is driving everything. First up, Billy. Billy the politician. One might say kind of a... I have a dog here. You want to come up? Oi. She felt excluded, so she needs to be a part of it. First up, Billy, the politician. And honestly, in more ways than one, almost like a copy of Big, the status, the success. And here's the thing, Carrie from the get-go, when she kind of meets Billy, she can sense that this guy is going to be all about him and she'll have to adjust. And instead of acknowledging that and moving away, what does she do? Well,
I'd been so burned in my last relationship, I was afraid to leap off into the next one.
suddenly, the only reason she has doubts about Billy is because of freaking Big. Remember, the goal survives if you frame every decision about your worth and not about if this person is actually good for you. Carrie becomes the politician's girlfriend and she changes her whole lifestyle around him. At the end, clearly things don't work out, and despite Billy being very similar to Big, she is not as destroyed by this breakup as she was with Big. Well, Billy never created the confusion. Billy never created the hook. Billy didn't keep her guessing. Once she didn't deliver, he was out. Either way, attempt number 1 failed. She had the right instinct, but kind of dismissed it by making it about someone else. So what do? We try the opposite. Enter Aiden, the artist. Successful but cool, chill, secure, reassuring. And Carrie gets it. This is what she needs. Someone who actually wants her. Someone who doesn't keep her guessing. The problem is that she enters it in the same way as she always does. Perform, perform, perform.
I'm a designer. If it bothers you,
Because when your self-worth is low, when you create a sense of confidence, I'm the more interesting one, it was Big's loss, but the low self-worth is still running the show, then you enter relationships by again trying to be different, trying to be someone who's gonna get chosen and someone who will not be left. And Aiden gives her everything: validation, consistency, commitment. He wants to be with her. He wants to move in together. He's talking about a shared future. And Carrie, well, Carrie is a little bit uncomfy. The two of them are not actually compatible. I know some of you are like, oh, what are you saying? Blasphemy. But they have totally different lifestyles. Aiden is chill, country boy, doesn't care about vavavoom, while Carrie is all about vavavoom and social life and celebrities and this and that. On the other side, as much as someone else can make you feel like you are worthy and they will be there for you, unless you actually acknowledge that yourself, it will never feel good. That's why you go after unavailable people, because those keep that feeling of I'm not worthy enough. And that's why you feel uncomfortable with people who give you that reassurance, because it's not the right solution, which makes it a little bit easier to fall back to Big. Once he shows up again, once he is craving her because his wife is, she guessed it, boring, beige, too simple, it's difficult for Carrie to resist. The man who created the original wound, the man who hooked her the most, that man is now telling her, actually, you are better. Carrie, unfortunately, doesn't sit down with her journal, write a little bit about what is happening, what is pulling me back. Is this the wound that I need to figure out? She's thinking, I miss this. This is real. This is everything that feels right. And that's the tricky part with unhealthy patterns that you never address. They don't feel unhealthy and toxic. It feels like you're finally being honest with yourself. Carrie and Big start an affair, and long story short, the affair ends because Natasha discovers it. The fantasy cannot be sustained anymore. Now, despite Big, in a very shady way, but I have other videos that go deeper into that, wanting to, be with Carrie, asking her to stay with him, Carrie can't.
we're so over. We need a new word for over.
You can't be worthy, not in the way Carrie wants to be, if you're also hurting other people to get your ending. She tries to continue with Aiden, but once he finds out about the affair, he also leaves. Attempt number 2 failed. Picking even the opposite type of guy, everything that you want, if you're not the one who's actually healed, it's not gonna work. Now, interestingly enough, when Big gets divorced, him and Carrie actually meet up. And despite there being a hint, a sense of Carrie maybe wanting to get back with him, it's very clear that Big was never going to commit to her.
I kind of like living alone again.
So not only did she become, in her eyes, even more unworthy, filled with shame and guilt,
Why doesn't that surprise me?
she didn't even get the validation she destroyed everything for. And because you don't want to live your life by believing that you will never get a happy ending because, karma is a bee, what better way than to get the man who you hurt to still want to be with you? She pushes, she crosses boundary until Aiden finally gives in. If he forgives her, maybe she can forgive herself. But again, she's making someone else responsible for her sense of worth. The cycle repeats. Get reassurance, but when she gets reassurance, she feels threatened by it. And the most clear example of this is the proposal. When Carrie finds out that Aiden might propose to her, she literally vomits because deep down she does not want it. But later, when she feels that maybe Aiden is not gonna propose, suddenly that's all she needs. When he finally proposes, she is happy, she is relieved, she got the reassurance, but when it's time to actually go through with it, she can't. Because this was never based on her wanting a healthy relationship, her understanding her patterns, how she needs to heal herself, and why is she actually with Aiden. It was all about proving that she is worthy enough for someone to stay with her. Attempt number 3 failed. Even if you get a second chance, if your goal is still the same, if you're still after validation, it's not gonna work. After all the shenanigans, Carrie finally has a moment of realization. She's evolved, she's grown, she doesn't need a relationship to feel whole. That's why she's gonna sleep with Big casually. Ta-da! The problem is that this time, Big is not so eager at the beginning. He read her book, which was a chronological explanation of everything they went through, and he cannot believe the hurt he caused her. Now, for a lot of us, this moment, this episode felt a little bit, it felt like a missed opportunity for the two of them, Big and Carrie, to finally have a serious conversation about the hurt that Carrie went through. But the thing that we kind of forget is that Carrie is not comfortable with sitting in vulnerability. If she would ever be able to actually address it, she wouldn't even be here. And if you find yourself trying to be casual with someone who actually deeply hurt you in the past, just know that you're not fine. You're just trying to ignore it so you can now start a new way of chasing that goal. And Carrie also has the realization that she's not that fine after they hook up because, after he sleeps it off, Big is kind of like, fuck it, let's just do it.
You'll need material for the sequel.
But what about if the problem with Carrie all along was that she never tried to find someone who would actually be like her? Berger is a writer like Carrie, and when they meet, it is a banter from the get-go. A little problem though, he actually has a girlfriend. And when Carrie finds that out,
I sparked with this person. I never spark.
Berger would be the perfect man for her. Someone who gets her lifestyle.
I wonder how happy they are.
Nowhere in this whole situation does Carrie ask herself, wait a second, how do I feel about the fact that I felt like we were flirting all this time and yet he is in a relationship? Long story short, he does break up with the girlfriend and the two of them pair up. The problem is that Berger himself has also a little bit problems of low self-worth. Maybe he's a little bit too much like Carrie. while she is successful in her writing career, well, Berger is struggling and he is feeling threatened by it. Now, because Carrie herself never learned that you can't source self-worth from someone else, she doesn't look at his insecurities and think, you know what, sweetie, I wish you all the best, but this is something you need to figure out on your own. She adapts. She downplays her success. She manages his feelings. She shrinks herself so he could feel better. Because you guessed it, if she doesn't, he's gonna leave. And there is another interesting angle. She, on some level, gets how Berger doesn't feel good enough. Because this is how she felt with Big. And this time, she can be the good enough partner. She could reassure him and show him that he is worthy. One thing to add here though, I've said it before. Your partner can make your insecurity worse, or he can support you in, let's say, managing them in some way. But the key is, when you are asking your partner to change so you can be more secure, and that change means going against his own well-being, that's when it's not a healthy partner supporting partner. That is just being driven by, for me to feel good, you need to do the work. And it's exactly what's happening between Berger and Carrie, which also ends because at the end, Berger just cannot feel good enough with Carrie and he needs to walk away. Attempt number 4 failed. Even if someone is the same as you share the same lifestyle, if the foundation is not working, if you are driven, you or your partner, by proving your worth, it's not gonna work. So how do we know if we are doing this? If we are dating different guys, but are driven by the same goal, which means the same kind of patterns. The easiest question is to ask yourself, okay, do I change based on who I'm dating? Does my behavior change based on who I'm with, or based on what do I actually want? Because you can change. You might start liking different things, living in different places because you genuinely want that. But if you're doing it just because of the guy, then something else is driving you. Now, sometimes we have the illusion of growth. Sometimes we feel like, Bis, I totally got it. It is clear to me and I am gonna change. So after all of her attempts, Billy, Aiden, the redemption phase, the casual hookup phase, Berger, she is kind of over it. She's kind of exhausted. And then a scare. Big has a heart surgery and she is shitting. Because she never understood why Big was actually not good for her, she is now feeling like she's gonna lose the most important person in her life. So she does what she does best, right? She's there for him. She takes care of him. And as she says it,
I'm just doing my job.
And just like that, after everything they've been through, Big finally looks at Carrie and he asks her, what are they doing?
Life's too short.
A moment of openness. This is all it took, him almost dying, to realize that they should be together. Except that it's not really real, because the next day when he feels better, he's like, nope, I'm good. And this time she sees it. This time there's no hit, there's no hurt, there's no crying. This time it's just pure realization. He is never gonna open himself to me.
Life's too short.
Finally, the breakthrough we all waited Carrie to have. Except also this one, not such a breakthrough, because a few months later, she meets Mr. Alexander Petrovsky.
Alexander.
And the whole pattern repeats again. Alexander Petrovsky is a mix, I would say, between Aiden and Big. He is art, painfully successful. He has status. The dynamics are established. He is the prize, she is auditioning. And he even creates the same kind of hook Big did. First I'm interested, then I pull away. But Alexander is a little bit different. He's a little bit more decisive. Someone who actually knows what he wants, and he wants her. Maybe Alexander is the guy she should be with.
You moved on, Charlotte's moved on, even Samantha's moved on.
I mean, Carrie finds herself in a period where all of her friends are moving on, and it kind of feels like Carrie is not making any steps. So Alexander, perfection. Except that it wasn't. Again, because Carrie is focused on being chosen by the Almighty and he actually wants to be with her, she kind of misses all the subtle control that is at play.
I can't believe you quit your job.
Alexander is also not someone she chooses because of who he is. She chooses him because of what he represents. That after all this time, she is still worthy for someone to choose her. Someone as successful as Alexander. The goal was still prove you are worth staying for. With Big, that meant that she chased when he pulled away. With Aiden, it meant that she tried to be someone she wasn't. And with Alexander, it meant that she shrinks herself in order to fit his life. And this time she realizes that no matter who's gonna be the one who's gonna stay with her, no matter what kind of relationship she's going to have, no matter what kind of goal she's trying to achieve, when it comes at a cost of losing herself, it just ain't it. And this would be a perfect ending to this show. The happy ending of Carrie's journey, finally recognizing that it's about accepting herself. Now, would she still have a journey to understand what that actually means? Yes. But imagine if the show just ended here and it gave us that message. No, 20 years ago, things were a little bit different. You do self-love so you can get the guy. And poof, Big shows up out of nowhere in Paris. And this time he is telling her the words she was waiting her whole life to hear.
Carrie, you're the one.
Not maybe, not life's too short, simply you're the one. This is it, the happy ending. Except that it isn't, not yet at least, because when the wedding day comes, well, Big leaves her at the altar because it's just a little bit too much for him, just to give her that final little hurt. So what changes in movie number 1? What made them actually get married at the end? Well, the usual. Carrie needs to shrink herself in some way. Carrie needs to reassure that she is just perfect enough, not too much, so she doesn't freak him out and he can actually commit. That's when she finally gets his I do, on his terms. No big wedding, just the two of them. And she tells herself that that's what she wanted also. That she was blindsided by wanting to be celebrated, by wanting to celebrate this union that she waited for so long. She didn't want that. That was just society pushing her, right? She also wanted just the two of them. And voila, Carrie finally reached her goal. She finally got to prove that she is worth staying for with the man who always made her feel like he can leave.
It wasn't logic.
Now, this is fictional, obviously, but in real life, there are examples when people finally get that commitment at the end by the man who never wanted to give that commitment. And also, in real life, most of the time, it's not because that you actually healed. It's not because something actually changed. It's just because one maybe didn't have any other option and the other one just was happy to finally get chosen.
This is so surreal. I mean, what?
So if you're thinking now, okay, V, I get it. I'm Carrie. Now what? First of all, it's very hard, but it's also very easy. It's easy to change it. It's a little bit more challenging to sustain it. The first thing is that you need to name the goal. You need to figure out what is this goal that you may have. Now, it's not like, ta-da, I just know it. Unless what I was sharing today made you feel that you also do the same things and maybe the goal is the same as Carrie had. But sometimes we're not really aware, and it takes some time. And what helped me personally is learning and journaling. Like when I faced my doom of, whoa, something is really wrong here, I was hungry to figure it out what it is. What is it on my side, or what is it about relationships that drove me here, right? Like when you actually have interest and curiosity in getting to know yourself better and learning what healthier versions are out there, because we don't know even sometimes, then it's easier to name the goal and change it. It might sound harsh, but on some level, you also need to understand, what did this goal cost you? What kind of person did you become? What kind of life are you creating? Who is in your circles because of it? When you really understand what it cost you, right? The damage that it has done, then you're really like, okay, we need to address this. And then you can start noticing it. Like, when does it show up? For example, if you have this goal of proving your worth, when do you feel the urge to prove yourself, to chase, to play games? Is it when someone takes a little bit too long to get back to you? Is it when they're mentioning their ex? Is it when they become distant? Is it when you feel like they're too much into you and you feel trapped? All of that is huge awareness, and it helps us take a step back. Like, I remember my first time when I realized, how do I get in certain patterns? I was chatting with this guy, and then at one point, I feel like this is, I need to address it, right? And a part of me didn't want to kind of, acknowledge it, because acknowledging it would mean that I need to cut connection with this person, and I liked the connection. But the other part of me almost felt like I need to do it differently than what I would have done in the past, because otherwise it won't change. And honestly, when I did it, oh my God, seriously, it felt so good. When you really understand yourself and how everything plays out, you're like, yes, queen, you did it. So just observe when it happens, take a step back, and make the different decision than what you would do in the past. And the crucial thing when it comes to changing a goal is actually changing the questions that are driving you. In case of worthiness, instead of asking yourself, am I worthy? Will this person show me I'm worthy? You start asking, do I want to stay? Do I want this? Does this make sense for what I would like to see in my relationships and in my life? You see, not that hard, maybe a little. But the alternative, living a life driven by a goal that honestly will never be satisfied, I think that's worse. So, Now, for those of you who are new to my channel and maybe you stayed till the end, if you're interested in all of these dynamics on a deeper level when it comes to Carrie and her relationships, oh, Biz, do I have the material? I went through it all, episode per episode. So, link in the description below and have fun. And as always, remember, trust your individuality.